All those who are just entering, we will give just a little minute for folks to come into the webinar, but we have quite a lot of ground to cover, so we will start very shortly. I think more will be entering as we go, but with all the good thinking ahead of us, I'd like to get started. Well, so good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where in the world you are. Welcome to the latest in the University of Maine and IEEE Artificial Intelligence webinar series. Today we're addressing AI in research and education. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Ed Derrick with the Office of Research Development at the University of Maine. I'll be moderating today's session. Thanks to IEEE Maine section, as well as our partners and collaborators promoting this AI webinar series around the world, from IEEE Boston, IEEE Silicon Valley, IEEE India, and IEEE China. So we have a thoughtful and distinguished panel today. We're hoping to have a robust discussion with them and with you. Let me tell you about the format for the hour. I'm going to introduce each panelist in turn and invite them to make some brief opening remarks. I'll pose a question for the panel to respond to. We'll pose a few questions for the panel to respond to. But then I do want to give plenty of time for your questions to the panel. And so please enter those in the Q&A as you go. So all of our panelists today are from the University of Maine. And again, welcome to everyone. So let me start and invite Dr. Xiaofan Chen to make his opening remarks. He's an assistant professor of computer science at the University of Maine. I'm going to just give people's titles and a brief sentence or two about their research. There's more complete bios on the website. You can look them up. They're all over the web. Anyway, Dr. Chen's research involves the design of interpretable machine learning models that can be understood by human beings. His recent publications include papers on interpretable deep learning for computer vision, optimization of decision lists with constraint. He's interested in developing new techniques to enhance the interpretability and transparency of machine learning models, especially deep learning models, and applying such techniques to healthcare, finance, and other application domains where high-stake decisions are made. And interpretability is key for whether one can trust the predictions made by machine learning models. And I think we're going to come back to that word trust a few times over the course of this hour. So please, Dr. Chen.
Thanks, Ed, for your introduction. And hi, everyone. I'm assistant professor of computer science. I'm Xiaofan. And I just want to say something about how my research is relevant. So I do research in interpretable machine learning. Basically, that means we want to construct AI models that can be understood by human beings. So we want to, the motivation for this research is that we could have a black box AI model where humans don't understand how it works. And that can be problematic because if you are visiting a doctor and the doctor is using some kind of AI radiology technique to study some X-ray images, right? And the models can be wrong, right? The models can be not understandable. So the model can say something like, well, guess what? You have some kind of cancer or something, right? But then the doctor, you can ask the doctor why this is the case, but then the doctor says that the AI model says so. But that's problematic because we don't know what if the AI model is completely wrong, right? So my research tries to bridge this gap between AI models and how we understand them. So the goal here is to have models that can be understood by human beings. So this can offer some advantages, such as if the model is clearly wrong, right? And we can check the reasoning process of the AI model, say that, hey, there's something wrong here, right? We can reject the prediction by the AI model. So this is how I see my research as being relevant to today's world where AI has been widely adopted in many fields. So I'll leave it at this, and yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Let me turn to Dr. Tim Liu, Harold Elfond, Associate Professor of Business Analytics at the Maine Business School, where he's been since 2019. His research centers on creating Bayesian interference algorithms that incorporate subjective prior knowledge into machine and statistical learning models. His current research includes Bayesian predictive inference using weakly informative priors, as well as Bayesian causal networks for reasoning about decision-making under uncertainty and investigating the dynamics of social media information diffusion and opinion leadership, which we'll come back to again, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
As Jonathan says, as AI is coming through all these parts of life and society as well. So, Dr. Liu, please.
Hello, everyone. It's really my great pleasure to have this opportunity to join this panel discussion. And my name is Yonggang Liu, and also go by Tim. I'm Associate Professor of Business Analytics at the Maine Business School. So compared to other three my colleagues, my research is more focused on application side of AI and machine learning, especially in business, including supply chain management, consumer behavior, and investors' attitude towards risk. So basically, my research is really focused on developing a effective mechanism to incorporate human subjective judgment and knowledge into machine learning and AI algorithm, especially utilizing Bayesian methodologies. So simply speaking, what really motivates me to do this research actually come from a very simple example. So suppose if you want to invest in a stock and you try to trace back the stock stock's price history, and you find out in the last 100 days, the daily price of the stock keeps going up. There's no single day the price goes down. So now, what's your decision? So are you going to decide to invest your money into the stock, or you have second thoughts? So if you fit the 100 days price data into any AI algorithm, the AI will return response, say, yes, you should invest your money into stock because the data shows the stock price will go up for 100%. But as a really experienced stock investor, financial investors, you probably will have second thought because you know there is a very high potential risk. The stock price will drop down significant within 1 day because it's a human intuitive thought that 100 days increase trend of stock price cannot be sustainable. It will be done very quickly. So now my research is really about how to utilize Bayesian methodologies to incorporate this subject judgment into a formal mathematical model. So that can further improve the business decision making in different business operations, especially.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you, Tim. Let me introduce Dr. Salome Seca, an assistant professor at the University of Maine, Computer Science Department, where she's also been since 2019. Her research interests include machine learning, large-scale data science, computer vision, and her primary focus is in the design, improvement, and analysis of deep learning techniques with emphasis on efficiency and robustness. She also works on the analysis of continual learning models, adversarial learning, domain adaptation, graph summarization, practical applications of machine learning in real-world problems, including hyperspectral imaging and forestry and ocean sciences. So, Dr. Seca.
Thank you, Edward. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for the invitation to be on this panel with Roy, Chaffin, and Tim. I'm very excited here, and I hope that we provide some informative and exciting conversation for the audiences. First of all, I am AI researcher, so today could be biased, and any point that I am making here are basically my personal opinion. And this is the era of AI, and I am very excited to be a part of it, as at some point we were a part of the era of internet. And as any other AI systems, when we have a new technology, a new advancement, it brings up advantages and disadvantages, and has definitely strengths and weaknesses. AI enhances the human life and improve real-world problems, but also it's attached to concerns like safety, security, and privacy. So it is important for all of us to not panic about it, and awareness is very important here, and not taking dramatic action. So I hope that our conversation today with other panelists would bring up some insights, and I believe that we will provide more real-world problems and examples that tackle the weaknesses and strengths of AI. So I'm looking forward for the rest of the panel. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our fourth panelist is Dr. Roy Turner, an associate professor of computer science at the University of Maine, where he's been on the faculty since 1995. His research is primarily in artificial intelligence, some work in computational biology and computer science education, but he's particularly working on intelligent control of autonomous systems, context-sensitive reasoning, diagnostic reasoning, multi-agent systems, and deep learning. So his most recent project involves deep learning in context. So Roy, please.
Thank you very much, Ed, and hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm primarily not a machine learning person, which is the current generation of AI that's making the big splash. Although I've been apprised of it throughout my career, and I'm trying to get a little bit more into it. But one of the things that I think is that we have an opportunity now for AI to be really helpful in research and education, the topic of today's webinar, as well as the rest of society. I think it's going to be a revolutionary technology, or is already a revolutionary technology. Along with the other panelists, though, of course, I do have some concerns about trust and reliability, especially in the areas of education, and somewhat in research as well. And I will probably get to some of those issues through the questioning. One of the things that I would that it may be my bias, but one of the things I feel is missing from current generation of machine learning that's holding them back in some areas is the ability to deal with traditional symbolic knowledge that we might get from human experts, for example, rather than just learning from induction by example or learning by reinforcement. And so one of the things that I've been looking at is trying tentative steps in looking at how symbolic information might be brought to bear in some sense, in particular in learning in context for these systems, to try to get to something of Tim's concern about the stock market, for example, of realizing that making that you're in the context of a rising stock, and then one of the things you might learn is in those contexts it sometimes falls, and so you would try to take that into account. But very looking forward to today's discussion. I think there's going to be a fruitful discussion, especially with my learned colleagues here and the audience. And I think there's a lot of potential for AI in research and education.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks all of you for introducing yourselves and some of the big ideas that are going to come up. I want to start with a question, following up both on two recent bits of news. One, there was a survey by the journal Nature published in September on AI impacts on science, and of all the positive impacts, about a third of the respondents included the idea that AI have a positive impact by generating new hypotheses, making new discoveries. Related to this, it was just announced that Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, is funding an independent nonprofit research lab called Future House, with a 10-year mission to build an AI scientist, semi-autonomous AIs to scale the pace of scientific research. The idea is it can scan all the literature. Tens of thousands of papers are published a day. It can scan all of them rather than the hundreds you make your graduate students read. So it has a much bigger set to analyze, and it can then generate hypotheses and really scale the pace of discovery. So if that's the case, are we training our replacements? Or, where do you see this going? How far? I know, Xiaofan, you were concerned that, well, anyway, I won't predict what you want to say. What do you think about all of this? Let me ask each of you to sort of react to this aspect of what AI can do in research. Xiaofan, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So let me just rephrase a little bit. So the question is there any concern if we say we work on this AI research and we actually try to create our own replacement, like an AI scientist who can actually do all the work for us, and so we don't need to do anything? Is there any concern?
Well, a bit of a facetious part of it, but where do you see the direction of this? How far will this end up going?
I think, to be honest, if you ask me the same question a year ago or 2 years ago, I might say this is just too fairy tale to even consider the possibility. But I think there might be some. So the first thing is, could it happen, right? In my opinion, so after I've seen ChatGPT, I think this is not as far as what we think it might happen. That's my one of my remark. And also I see I can see some potential problems with even if we can have an AI scientist, right, that scans the hundreds and thousands of literatures. I can immediately see some of the problems coming. So one of the things is that sure, right, is it, even though a computer can scan these literatures very fast, but does it really know how to judge the quality of the literature? Because currently, I have to say, not all published work are very good, unfortunately, right? There are a lot of publications these days that are not up to the standard, I have to say. So if the AI really learned from that, is that really making progress or really like causing damage? So that's one concern I immediately see, right? And another thing is, say that the AI can really discern the good things from bad things, right? I'm just not sure if there's anything that AI can really be. I'm still very doubtful of the creativity of the AI systems at this time. So it may create some hypothesis, but does that mean it's real knowledge or anything, right? That's, yeah. So that's just my opinions on this particular Future House issue. Yeah.
Very good, thank you. Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of both excited, but also have a lot of reservations about this new movement. And when Xiaofan says, and in the past, it sounds like fairy tale, maybe it is not, but I will still say it's close to be a fairy tale. The reason why is we have to go back to the nature of the AI, what AI really is. So I think most of the people believe that so far we have 3 different waves of AI. The first wave is in 1950s. It's all about break down a problem into smaller pieces, simple problems, so machine can solve those simple problems together and eventually solve the big problem. The second wave is more like build a algorithms completely based on logical rules. And the third wave, of course, is current wave is really big data powered. So I will say that not all, most, if not all, of AI algorithms are big data powered. So based on that, I will say that non-AI algorithm will be better than the data used to train algorithm. So as a result, we have to recognize that at least now or in the foreseeable future, AI can only do two things better than human. One is recognizing, another one is perceiving. But another thing, AI, as I can say in for foreseeable future, AI cannot do is thinking. AI cannot thinking. So what's the difference between the three? Is there actually what the difference between the perceiving and thinking? Perceiving is really a really straightforward, direct interpretation of information. And thinking is more intelligent, intellectual process involving imagination and creation. So I will say that this new future house, this kind of AI movement, will provide more thorough review and summarize of all scientific achievement we have so far, and do a thorough gap analysis to recognize and perceive different possible gaps between research outcomes which we don't realize. And then the AI presents such gap as a hypothesis for our human to think and make further more scientific achievement. So I will say that this future house and similar AI movement will do better and better in recognizing and perceiving, and then it can really help human to think better in terms of making more advancement in science.
Thank you. Salome.
Yeah, other panelists provided very interesting points here. And efforts like Future House, if we take a look at their announcement, one of their aims are advancing cutting-edge sciences, a combination between engineering and, for instance, one of the goals here is about human healthcare, medicine, biology, which is a very important concern when it comes to the human health. And it's great to see that there are these motions, there are these efforts that are focusing on critical human life problems. So that's amazing. And I think any advancement toward this goal is welcoming and exciting. So this is great. However, around this all efforts, there are absolutely concerns. I think, in my opinion, it's so hard to predict where AI is going and what type of directions is going to be, or how the future of AI is going to be in even 5 years from now. And this is the beauty of the AI. How exactly what we have as AI models, it's the result of a graduate working on big data. So we had the era of big data before era of AI. And this data is still collecting. This data even is more around than ever. So of course, then the models could be stronger and have a better prediction. But it doesn't mean that some concerns that are around it is completely be resolved solved in future. We have concerns like safety, security. We have concerns about creativity, innovation. So whether one day AI can be more smarter than human or not, depends on the task decision we're talking about. Depends on what problem we want to solve here. So of course, AI has the current models, the state-of-the-art current models, they have obstacles, things like thinking, creativity, but human, one of the intellectual aspect of human is to be able to reason, to create. So of course, that is something that everyone is wondering about it. But there are a graduate effort of improving AI models, and also simultaneously there are graduate efforts on addressing the concerns with these models. So I think this is exciting to see that these efforts are pushing together and helping to the serious problems. On the other hand, I'm sure the community is thinking how to address the obstacles and weaknesses. And this is something that I think it's unpredictable how the future is going to look like. And that's why it's nice to be here and talk about it.
Thank you. Roy.
Well, this is certainly not the first time that AI is focused on creating scientists. That goes back into the 1980s with Doug Lennett's Eurisco that was able to, with very primitive machine learning techniques, reproduce Kepler's law from the same data, Kepler's laws and things like that. Or Dendral, which Tim was talking about, the second era of knowledge-based systems. Dendral was one of the first of those. And it was figuring out chemical formula that humans couldn't figure out. And that, again, was back in the 70s. So it's not the first time, but they've hit roadblocks in some of this before. I think what Future House is doing is going to be a great impetus to spur that sort of thing, along with ChemCrow, I think, which is one of the things that they mentioned in the Future House thing about chemistry. I think we have a lot of hurdles at the moment. The last thing you want is an AI scientist hallucinating results, which the current generation of techniques are subject to that. We used to say lie like a rug in the South, but hallucinate sounds better. And so I think you would have to worry about that. But I think people, as Salome say, people are working on that. And as Chaofan's was talking about interpretable AI, I think that will help too, so somebody can check the reasoning, if you want to call it that, for what they're doing. It's not necessarily the case that AI, the current generation of models, only can look at what's been done and not do anything new. Certainly with when you edge over into reinforcement learning, they certainly can do things that are new. What I've often tell people that ChatGPT has done for me is in addition to making me think that, wow, we've really accomplished a lot, is making me think, wow, a lot of what humans do isn't all that impressive. We may be doing this kind of thing too. We may be seeing the tail end of the Copernican revolution, where we were the center of the universe, and now we're the top of the animal hierarchy. Well, now at least those machines don't think. We may be being pushed toward that edge where we're not that special. We're just wetware systems. We are neural nets, whether we like it or not, just not the kind that we're currently dealing with. So I think there's some promise there. I think there's a lot of challenges, a lot of issues of plagiarism that's showing up in some of the other things now, like DALL-E and ChatGPT, of where the things they're learning that they don't necessarily give credit to. I think that's critically important in a scientific endeavor, to give credit to past work that may or may not be taken into account so much by training. I think it's a great spur to this. I think I think Future House's aims are noble. I think addressing biology, which is one of the hardest sciences because it's not conforming to the rules that we haven't discovered the rules yet under there. I think that's a very fruitful endeavor there. And it also has, because it doesn't have a lot of rules, but has a lot of data, it's also a fruitful thing for the kind of machine learning that we're doing to approach. But I'm with Salome. I think, who knows, in 5 years, I mean, with some of the things like reinforcement learning, it may be able to think better than we think it can at the moment. So we'll see where it goes.
Very good. Thank you. There are a couple of questions starting to come in the Q&A. For those of you tuning in, please continue to add some questions, add your questions into the Q&A. We'll start getting to those shortly. I do want to pose another question or two for the panel to think about. Because we're talking about the potential impacts on the research endeavor. How about on the education side of things? How is this changing how we educate our students? Is it something you're using right now? Is it something they're using, whether you know it or not? Or does this also impact learning in some way? Should they be learning for the future, in which we're just another one of the intelligences out there? Maybe I'll start with Roy first and go backwards this time. Or do you want to react to the issue?
Yeah, sure. Our students are definitely using it. So I teach an AI class this semester, and I certainly see a lot of programs that there's no way the students know the things that they're doing. And then when I ask them, they don't know what they're doing. So yeah, ChatGPT is pretty good at things like that. It also can, fall on its face and routinely does in terms of programming, especially mathematical kinds of things. But I see a great promise for education. How it's changing it currently, I think things like the take-home essay are pretty much dead. Because ChatGPT is writing at a better level than most students do. But I think it has some possibilities for one of the things I've noticed some people are doing, and I've tried to do a little bit in terms of programming, is say, okay, you can use ChatGPT. We know you're going to anyways. So you're going to use ChatGPT. Now critique what it's doing, okay, and take it apart and read, now analyze the essay that it wrote and how could you do it better and things like that. Certainly with programming, I gave them a theorem prover. I said, well, it can write, or some algorithm. I say it can write this for you, but what it writes will be wrong, so fix it, that kind of thing. And I think there's something to be said for that in terms of a different way. And people have been doing this for a while, giving people code to read or things and to critique. And I think it's going to be good for that. I think it's going to be really good for personalized learning, some of the stuff that was in Biden's white paper, executive order. That's been kind of a holy grail of education and AI for a while in intelligent computer-aided instruction. And I think this is going to be really good for that in terms of if you can trust the answers from the things. Now you pretty much have a tutor, online for you. We have ways of automatic now. And from the other side, being a professor, I've also had it. I've not made this live, but I've had it grade my students' work, and it does an outstanding job most of the time of grading and critiquing their written work, which is another thing that might be of some use, But I think it's going to have a revolutionary impact on education in the way that professors, but also especially K through 12 people can deal with educating students and the kind of information they have, tutoring systems and things like that, and personalized education, especially for marginalized folks and people with learning disabilities and whatnot, because ChatGPT is not tailored toward that, but as they showed with Kim Crow, you can certainly augment it to play in a different area. And so I think it's going to have a lot of impact on education.
Salome?
Yeah, I agree with Roy that of course it impacts on education and in a positive way. There are concerns, yes. I never forget when I went to college and we were using hard copy of the textbook and going to the library, put your name in the waiting list to be able to have only 1 week this book. So then you can work on the assignments or you can prepare for the exam, especially during the final exams. It was so hard to get those hard copies because everyone was in the wait list. And then after that, there was the PDF version of the textbook and everyone could have access. And I didn't have that hassle, or no one had that to be able to, prepare for the exam. So that was how PDF, internet facilitated for us. And then on the other hand, teachers, professors focused on a different form of the education methods. So as everyone adapted to the new technology, we as instructors are going to adapt to the new technology as well and to AI. We talk about ChatGPT. It's a good source for our students, but also we have to pass this awareness that not everything ChatGPT says for now at the moment is correct. So if one of my students is telling me, oh, well, the ChatGPT provided this answer, I'm like, you have to fact check that answer and make sure that that is correct before really relying on that fully. How exactly I especially like personally for this semester try to a little bit make my course material adapted to the new available AI resources. I try to engage students more in the class and try to have more in-class exercises, or for instance, the homework sets are not exactly the same I was using or in the same formatting that I was using last 5 years. So the point is that it definitely impacts education and also provides more resources, more set of the information for the students and for the teachers. So it's going to be helpful. However, it's important for us to make sure that we have a smooth transition to the new system, and how exactly students can have or use these new sources in a very smooth and a smooth fashion with some sort of guidelines. But I think that, yeah, it's going, and I think it's going to be fine. Everyone is going to be fine by just learning how to deal with this transition.
Okay. Tim, is that the case over in the business school too?
Yeah, it's pretty much the similar observation I have. But I do think that when we try to answer this question, we have to go back to a very fundamental question: is why do we think AI can make positive contributions to research and education? I think this still goes back to the nature of AI. So we have to first think about what AI can do better than human. And in my mind, that there are two particular things AI can do better than human. One is AI is capable to actually scan a sky-high volume of data to extract information from the vast amount of data. And the second thing AI can do better than us is he can behave almost like human, but do repetitive tasks without getting bored. So now when we think about how AI can positively impact education and research, we basically think about how some aspects of research and education involving scanning large data to extract the information and involving repetitive human tasks. So if we can think about anything in our class or in our research require this kind of work, I do think AI can help. So just a couple of particular examples actually in some of my class. So basically, suppose if I ask a student to write an essay on a business topic, I do give a very specific, detailed rubric how I'm going to grade the essay. And the student will, of course, first draft the essay, and then actually I encourage them to use AI to provide suggestion how to improve their essay by according to the rubrics. And that, of course, helps students a lot in their study. And also, if some new students come up to me to ask me, okay, I'm interested in your course, but I don't know if or not my background really fit this course. So then I can just tell students, yes, I mean, I have all the course materials, descriptions, expected learning outcomes. And why not you go ask AI? So provide your education background or professional background, and together with my course expectation, description, and AI can also provide some useful suggestions whether or not you can take this course based on your background. And so for repetitive task. So the best example in my class is programming. So especially business students is not really good at programming and coding. So if I give a programming assignment, student work on that, it's involve a lot of debug task. So it is very repetitive task. So in the past, I have to answer student questions regarding syntactic, regarding their coding and syntax error all the time. But now I just tell student, oh, I don't mind you ask ChatGPT why this part of your code doesn't work. Any any possible fix to your syntax error, and the ChatGPT never getting bored. They will help them to correct the code again. So that also helps students a lot. So again, put together, as long as we think any part of our research and education involve reviewing, scanning sky-high volume of data to extract information, and any part of our education or research involving repetitive task, that is where I think AI can help us a lot.
Thank you. Xiaofan, is it also the case that you're adapting to the new technology to use it to avoid having to debug the students' programs and other ways? How's it working for you?
I'll offer my perspective on this issue with regard to AI and education. So the answer is it depends, because I'll say that there are two types of, different levels of education, right? So in general, for the higher level courses or research students or anything, right? So I work on research with, I'm a vice of research for a lot of students, and I also teach some high-level courses, which are, a lot of them are research-based, right? So sometimes if we encounter certain issues, right, I'll say, okay, go ask ChatGPT. You can answer this question better than doing a Google search, or better than me telling you, because sometimes some things I may not know about it, but ChatGPT may know about it, even though it could be wrong, but still it could provide some kind of starter for this questions, right? We may have encountered in research or in higher level courses. So my thinking about like higher level education, meaning that graduate level or senior, junior, undergraduate level, right? I wouldn't mind students using these resources to help them with their coursework or research, especially research, right? Because where the goal is not to understand what's already there, but to create something new. So this would be a very helpful tool. Now, getting back to the point, right? What about the lower level courses, like first year undergrad courses, second year undergrad courses, or even like K-12 things? My reaction to this AI thing is I'm getting more conservative. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't use it, because I can't control what happens outside the classroom, right? If I give them a homework assignment, I can't say that, even if I tell them you can use it, they are going to use it anyway, right? There's no way I can control that. I can't install cameras while they're doing homework, right? So there's no way I know that. So the way I adapt to this is, now I'll give more weight on the exams and the traditional kind of exams. So I give a lot of weight on the exams, in-class exam, in-person exams, as a way to adapt to this, because the goal here is, if you are in a basic or an introductory level of education, you have to know certain basics in order to perform better job for the future. You have to know certain basics, right? And these basics, unfortunately, you just have to learn it, right? There's no way around it. So the best way to check if a student knows that is through a traditional in-class exam, right? Because the students can get advice, can get advice from ChatGPT or anything, and they can do very well on the homework, and there's nothing I can do about it. But when they show up for the exam, if they don't understand what they have done, it will definitely show in their answer on the exam. So this is my way of dealing with adapting to this new era of AI. So it depends, right? For the high-level courses, it can be a very incredibly helpful tool for the students. For the lower-level courses, they have to suffer through my exams, unfortunately. Yeah, that's my take.
Okay. Very good, very practical answer. Any of the panelists want to sort of respond to anyone else on this? I think we got a couple of different perspectives on and insights in there. Let me turn to questions that are coming in the Q&A. I just want to pick from among them to start. One person has asked, how can bad actors' malintent be discerned in the implementation or results of various AI tools? And I think this speaks to some of the things a number of you mentioned along the way about where trust comes in to it, but in particular here, not just bad research, as Xiaofan may have mentioned, but if there's people deliberately trying to mess with the results here. Salome, do you want to start on this?
Yeah, I mean, there is in AI research, there's a very strong line of research works that is on AI trustworthy, AI responsible AI, and security, of course, could be also under this question. Absolutely, of course, there are approaches that could be vulnerable to some adverse conditions that would result into, can we trust the outcome of the AI? And this is why there are research. One of my research is basically on how exactly we can make sure to have a safe navigation and rely on the object detection that the autonomous car are doing in adverse weather conditions. That also could be under the reliability or trustworthy of the AI outcomes. Another line of research that I have is basically when we are feeding the AI models with a mix of the data, right? Some of these data are bad examples in how exactly we can filter them out. So then the model is not vulnerable, or how some of these examples are susceptible and would fool the AI system when it comes to the decision making, and how exactly we can remove those susceptible nodes or bad examples when we are training the model. So there are another line of research here that are trying to tackle this important problem that they are tied to safetyness, they are tied to trustworthy, and they are tied to security and all other these aspects that when I see an outcome, especially if it's a critical outcome of the AI model, how exactly I can rely on that, how exactly I can be sure that it hasn't been manipulated. And this ties with some years ago when deepfake came up. Can I really trust to any videos I see on social media, and can I really trust to any audiences that I am listening? And these are all tied to each other because this is very important. If you're talking about society using AI, awareness here becomes very important. Whatever you see, don't believe it fully. And when it comes to critical applications like healthcare, biomedical application, climate change, or some sort of computer vision problems that are very critical here, then don't use it until you rely on it, and you make sure that you can rely on the results of the AI model.
Okay. Xiaofan, did you want to react as well?
So my answer to that would be, I see a potential in interpretable AI with human AI collaboration. So this could potentially address or sanitize the AI model, if you want to put it that way, because with interpretable models, So the goal here is for humans to understand what the model is using, what kind of features the models are using, and what's the reasoning behind like how these model uses these features. So that's all good, but that's only part of it, right? If we can couple this with human AI collaboration, that means that we could have a human there to check the reasoning process, but then also give feedback to the AI model that, hey, this is not a good feature you should rely on. You should replace that with something smarter, right? And then retrain the model. That also ties in with continual learning, which is what StudyMate is working on. So that will complete the loop, right? We'll be able to both have an AI model that can be checkable by human beings and also improved upon by human beings. So that would be an ideal situation. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Tim or Roy, this is something you want to comment on?
I do want to add my my 2 cents into this question. Actually, I will see from different perspective compared to my 2 colleagues here. So I will say that this kind of concern of discriminatory result by AI will not be really completely resolved at all. And let's go back to my basic logic is because in current time, almost all AI algorithms are big data powered. So non-AI algorithm will be better than the data used to train the algorithm. So in that sense, no matter how well AI algorithm is created, developed to remove any possible bias, as long as there is a bias in the data fitted into the algorithm, the result will be biased. And also, when we talk about the discriminatory result, biased result, we have also to consider it is a dynamic. Some result may not be biased today, will become biased tomorrow. And also, believe me that the people have the intention to fit biased data into AI model to produce biased result. So my thought is no, we cannot really count on AI model algorithm itself to resolve any bias or discriminatory result. Instead, it is still our human responsibility to make clear and reasonable judgment whether or not we will accept the result or recommendations given by AI. It is really our human responsibility. Is not any AI algorithms can solve this problem.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Roy?
Yep. This is sort of the same issue, really, as cybersecurity, just writ large. How do we trust our computer systems? Well, there are many different ways we try to mitigate risks. And ultimately, yes, it's down to the person using them. But as we found over the years in cybersecurity, that has not been a workable model even for CS, even for regular computer science, because people aren't usually savvy enough to, first of all, read their end user license agreements, but also to actually do it. And software designers neither. So we got someone in our department working on some of these issues with, making sure that at least privacy is preserved on some systems. We can approach this in some of the same ways that we do for cybersecurity. I mean, as Xiaofan says, having a human in the loop is going to be indispensable for quite a while. And in fact, that's one of the reasons, as I understand it, that ChatGPT is as good as it is it had humans in the loop learning from reinforcement based after it's been trained to say, no, that really is a stupid answer. Please don't answer like that. The other thing is we can use AI systems to try to help us detect when AI systems are going wrong. And people have tried that with they've tried this for ChatGPT to detect whether it's written by ChatGPT, for example, and with mixed success. But again, it's like cybersecurity. It's an arms race between malactors and people who are trying to protect the systems. Right now, even as we speak, probably there's in Bletchley Park, England, there's a group of people from different government agencies and every place else looking at this issue, among others. And as I heard on the radio this morning, probably, among those people are some of the malactors that are learning how to defeat some of those things they're trying to do. I don't think we're going to get a completely secure, completely reliable AI system in the same way we are not going to have ever a completely reliable, completely secure computer. It's just not practical. So we do the best we can.
Very good. So let me pick up on a thread that's been coming through and also part of the questions that have come in from our audience. One particular example here from the questions submitted. While an ethical expectation exists for students considering AI tools in completion of their work, what corresponding expectations may be appropriate for faculty or staff using AI to prepare or evaluate coursework? So that's an example you may want to reflect on, but more broadly, we've talked about the responsibility of humans in the group. Are there other ethical considerations in applying this in research and education? Roy, would you like to start on that?
Sure. I think a good place to start is complete transparency. If you're using AI to grade the person's paper, you should probably tell them that. Same for preparing lectures. I mean, when we're preparing a lecture, we use a wide range of sources. We try to cite what we use, so give credit. And I think that's something also you should do when you're preparing a lecture using AI, for example. A friend of mine, Ashok Goel, down at Georgia Tech, used Deep Blue, IBM system, as a TA for a class without telling the students. It made national news, but the students didn't object too much, but I could see where that would be something that possibly, I think this is more of an experimental kind of thing, but possibly a little more transparency there would be good. I think it's just ethical on our side to let students know when we're using someone else's work in the same way we expect them to tell us when they're using someone else's work.
Okay, good. Tim?
So actually it's relevant to my answers to some previous questions. So first we have to be realistic that students will use ChatGPT or similar AI products, no matter we ask them to use it or not use it. So it is actually about how we can adjust our teaching to really incorporate ChatGPT, this kind of AI, as a useful assistant in our class. So from a teacher perspective, that means if we really want to, for example, involve ChatGPT in grading work, and we then have to create very specific, detailed grading rubrics, and then students will know that their work is graded based on the rubrics populated by AI. So that is what I can think about from a teacher side. From student side, it's really about how to use AI to better help them study in the course. So including actually, as I just said, at the beginning of the course, let ChatGPT to respond whether or not your background fit this course, or during the class really is about how to actually provide ChatGPT the progress so far in the course, and let ChatGPT to say, okay, you still need to catch up on this area, still need to catch up in that area. And also, if there is some very repetitive tasks and the students actually have trouble in, and I don't mind to encourage a student to outsource this kind of repetitive work tasks, like asking how to debug the program, fix syntax errors. I encourage students to outsource this kind of work to the ChatGPT as well.
Very good, thank you. Chaofan?
I think, I would just like to add to what Tim has said. So I would say that I wouldn't, as I said, I wouldn't mind students using that because because if they use it as a learning tool, I think this will be a great resource, right? But what I'm more concerned is whether they have learned the stuff, right? They can use it as a tool to help them learn. But the only consideration I want to know is, after using that, have they really learned the stuff they are trying to learn, right? If that's the case, then this is great, right? There's really very minimal ethical consideration, right? But if not, then this becomes kind of, I would say it's kind of like a cheating, right? Then that's problematic, right? Only in that case, then there will be some ethical issues here, yeah. If they use that to and pass ChatGPT's work as their own work without actually learning the stuff behind it, then that's problematic. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Salome?
Yeah, to bring another perspective here, I mean, I don't have problems students use here, but I just want to answer this question with transparency and fairness. Which is, it's very important. Transparency from teacher side and from student sides, and also fairness. I believe that this was one of the White House executive orders list to advancing civil and equity rights. Fairness is a concern. And there are a lot of research works that really tries to enhance AI models to be fair or not biased to a specific race or to a specific gender. And we know that AI models are biased at the moment. They are not fully transparent and fair. So we know this is one of the problems. And of course, improvement is as we see, and as they go to the different conferences, AI conferences, we see that there are a lot of interesting advances, but is it sufficient? The current state, not yet. So it is important to bring this on the table and point it out to the students. That depends how they're using it. It's a set of the tool. I totally agree with Chaofen that it's another set of the tool to use it very openly. And it's totally fine. However, we all need to know that it's not fully transparent and it's not fully fair. So it depends on how we are asking students to use it. If it's related to some equity issues here, then we need to be transparent about it. And we need to basically try to provide some situations for the students that this wouldn't hurt them when it comes to the class material and assignments and things like that. My 2 cents.
No, thank you. Really appreciate it. Tim, a last comment.
Yeah, I just want to add a very quick comment to Chaofan's discussion. So actually, I do believe that how to effectively use AI to improve our work is also an important skill student can learn from our class. So just like that, maybe we will forbid the student to use calculator in paper-based exam, but yeah, student will use calculator all the time in the future. Using calculator is also the skill. So I will think that maybe actually tell students in this class, you will also learn how to effectively use AI to improve and help your work. It's also a necessary skill you will learn for your future.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. I'm afraid that will have to be the last word in this seminar, just because we're over time already. We thank each of you. Great discussion, covered a lot of ground, but really very, very good insights. So thank all the panelists. Thanks to the folks that tuned into the webinar, those who submitted questions. We couldn't get to all of them. Greatly appreciate your engagement, though, and helping the discussion along. So with that, we'll close the webinar, and we'll see you at the next one.